I, female 28, just learned that my fiancé, male 31, cheated on me with my best friend, female 27. Exactly what it says in the title. I'll begin from the beginning. My closest buddy, Andrea, female 27, and I relocated to one of the largest cities in the United States together 4 years and a few months ago. We both found work there, and while being in the same field, we'd been employed by separate businesses. We ended up sharing an apartment and had a terrific time. She contacted me from her workplace one evening and asked me to meet her at a pub. Her whole staff was planning a night out. We hadn't started dating yet, so I went out with them and had a fantastic time with them. A few days later, a man from the party phoned to ask me out. Brad, I'm 31, is nice, clever, and amusing, and he made me laugh and listen to everything I said. We started dating, and before I knew it, things were becoming serious. We dated for 2 years before he proposed. I agreed, and we started really arranging the wedding. Soon after he proposed, I moved in with him. We were getting married in my tiny town, and his family and friends were excited to come. Andrea enthusiastically consented to be my maid of honor, not that she needed to be asked. Then COVID impacted us in ways I couldn't have predicted. First, the lockout occurred just as we were preparing to send out the invitations. Brad was then given a 40% wage reduction at work, followed by his dismissal a few months later. I attempted to cheer him up at home as he cried. WFH took its toll as well, since I was requested to attend meetings at 9 p.m., design dashboards on the fly, and work on weekends. Brad and I became estranged. Soon after, he started spending more and more time outdoors, telling me he needed to go out. I was okay with that since I believed him when he claimed he was meeting his mates. I got promoted late last year, which meant I had to manage a team. I started to spend an increasing amount of time at work. Brad, too, ultimately obtained a job, which helped his self-esteem tremendously. Let's fast forward to Sunday evening. His phone rang just as we were ready to retire to bed. He was immediately nervous, telling the caller that it was late and that he would call again the following day. When asked who it was, he said that it was someone from work and that he usually calls at this hour to talk work. Brad maintains the volume on the maximum setting, so I knew it was a female voice. I wanted to say that, but for some reason I didn't. When I examined his phone the following morning while he was in the shower, I discovered Andrea's number stored as Bill C., as well as a slew of really filthy messages. She also sent him naked pictures and videos. Their final talk was about what they were going to do to one other onsesh was gone. My dad suffered a mild heart attack recently, and I am flying home this weekend to see him. My heart sunk, and I burst into tears. Brad came out of the restroom and recognized what was going on when he saw his phone in my hand and my expression. When I confronted him, he started making pitiful excuses, claiming that he felt alone, and that all you do is work hard, phoned Andrea, who first disputed everything. She admitted to everything when I provided her screenshots from my phone number and demanded an explanation. For months, she and Brad were having an affair behind my back. It all started when he lost his job, and she put pressure on him to end our relationship. He refused, so she resorted to fabricating rumors about my family in order to discredit them and terrify him into believing I would force him to relocate back to my town once we married. This I discovered after a lot of asking. She also claimed that she and Brad had gone on a few dates before he and I met, and that seeing him with me afterwards enraged her. She even attempted to convince him to date her again after I started dating him, but he declined. Brad's rejection enraged her, so she went to the gym and started practicing yoga with a fury to, in her words, get back at me. I've spent the past day sobbing, being upset, crying angry tears, and binging on Chinese food. Brad snuck out of the flat as quickly as he could, and I know he's at her house right now. She phoned to apologize, but I blocked her phone number. She then dialed his phone, but I hung up as soon as I heard her voice. I sobbed when my dad phoned to confirm whether I was going over, although I hadn't told him anything yet. He believes I sobbed out of relief since he is now getting well. I want to end my relationship with Brad and cut all links with Andrea for good, but first I need to meet my father. I'm at a loss. Should I inform him? I resent myself for not realizing this sooner and for devoting too much of myself to work. Andrea's family and mine have also been extremely close for many years. Andrea's mother and elder sister have both worked as nurses their whole lives, and they both work at the hospital where Dad just spent time in the intensive care unit. My mother is quite thankful to them for all of their assistance and support, and she should be. What should I do? How do I go about it? I'm disoriented, furious, and weeping. Story 2. Just need to vent. Lol, wife cheated. My wife cheated on me. I have been married for 2 years. Wife was being deceptive by concealing her texts. I checked my mobile phone bill online and found a number I knew. It was one of my brothers. He's a crackhead, jobless, criminal, and his child was removed by the CPS. I went to her phone and she was telling him she loved him and how the FRAI woke her up and confronted her, and she seemed completely unconcerned. I was in treatment for severe anxiety, so my medicine wasn't working properly. When I went on the deep end, she phoned the authorities on me for domestic violence. I don't recall laying a hand on her, and there were no scars or bruises. She obtained a restraining order against me, and I was forced to leave our marital home. We attempted to sort things out, but she refused to speak to him since he was her buddy. And she refused to remove WhatsApp, so I couldn't read the messages he sent. I set up a date, contact her, and see her position in an unknown region near my brother's house. There was no reaction. I was cooking supper when she eventually answered that she was on her way. Well, my mom phones me and tells me she's at her place and seems to be inebriated, but she hadn't been drinking and was instead chatting to my brother. I refer to her as no answer. I phone her again 2 hours later, and an officer answers, telling me she's been in an accident. I spent the whole night trying to find out where she is and how I might assist her. She was caught for a DUI that she didn't recall since my brother had been giving her powerful Xanax. She called me all night from prison, and when I arrived to get her up, my mother called to say she was at her home. I inquired as to why she didn't phone or come to our house. She just stared at me. We went to view her automobile, but it isn't drivable. She lost her focus and collapsed after accusing me of bothering her. So it's my responsibility that she committed Dewey. She went for 3 days just before my birthday, claiming she needed time to think. I was at my mother's place, and she said that someone had come to pick up your brother in a nice automobile, but I couldn't see who it was. It had to be her. She shuts off her phone for 3 days. They'd also had at F-Fest and got high wherever they went. I departed this time to stay with my ex-wife, who agrees to let me sleep on her sofa. Fast forward 7 months, and she absolutely ignores me. There was no contact concerning the mortgage or expenses, so I stopped paying them. When I asked her whether she was going to file for divorce, she answered no. I got served a month later the following week. No more communication, yet my phone keeps ringing with no caller ID, and it's her weeping, telling me she misses me and that she's in recovery. We arranged to meet at a random hotel near the rehab facility and speak about how to make it work. She agrees, and will be okay once I get home. 2 days later, she writes me a lengthy mail in which she informs me that it is too late. So I didn't speak to her for 2 weeks, and then she returns and says we're working things out. Another few days go by, and yet another, it's too late. We hadn't done anything but chat on the phone and meet twice. At this time, she confesses to chatting to another person and giving him nudes for 2 months, while continuing to communicate to my past brother. When November rolls along, she says she needs time to work on herself and see if we can agree on divorce conditions. We both work for airlines, and she has access to my schedule. I traveled to Hawaii, and she texted me to see how I enjoyed it. I ignored it. I get a message informing me that she wants to meet with me. I agree, and she had snacks and goodies ready for me, as if she was trying to impress me. I accepted when she requested for a kiss. We messaged after we parted ways, and then she messages me that she's upset with me. I tell her I'm done and ask her to call me. So she tells me the same thing while pretending to have one. She hangs up, and I receive an email from my lawyer last night telling me that I've been pestering her and that I should leave her alone. I have evidence that she initiated every phone call. I'm completely over her. I can't wait till my divorce is finalized. She's adamant on keeping the house, which is now on covenant halt, with a balance of $18,000 owed. The only alternative is to refinance or pay that amount. I'm not going to let her refinance, and I'm not interested in the home. I simply don't believe you should receive an award if you cheat. I don't mind if it falls into foreclosure. As of last month, she indicated that she was no longer dating my brother, but she did go on dates and most likely had S with the other person. Whoosh. I just wanted to get this out of my system. I avoid my family and don't speak to my brother in order to escape their judgment and mockery.